Salvete omnes, salvete discipuli et discipuli. Hello, this is Mrs. Macy coming from the Macy Lair, meaning my basement. I am going to go through the introduction to Chapter 10 for Jenney's Latin. And in Chapter 10, we talk about the 4 principal parts of a verb, which I'll explain shortly, and also interrogative particles. So first, the principal parts of verbs. The 4 principal parts of verbs are 1. The ego form, 2. The infinitive, 3. The perfect stem, and 4. The supine, which is a passive form that you'll learn about later. The present tense ego form, two, the present infinitive, the indicative infinitive, it's not passive, okay? The third principal part is the perfect stem, or also the perfect ego form. And the fourth principal part is the supine form. What are these and where do you see them? You see them in the glossary entry for the word. So, you will see all 4 of these forms. When you look up a word in the glossary or dictionary. And just a reminder, the way that you look up a word is you have to look it up by the present tense ego form or the first principal part. So here's an example of a verb with all 4 principal parts. Woko, that's your first principal part. It's the ego form and it means I call. Your second principal part is the infinitive, so that's vocare. To call, that's what an infinitive is. It's always to and the verb. Your third principal part for vocare is vocavi. That's the perfect tense ego form. I called. And then your fourth principal part is the supine, and that is vocatum for this verb. So those are all 4 principal parts for the verb voco vocare. And here's one more example. Remember, when you're looking up principal parts, because there will be exercises where you need to find all 4 principal parts of a verb, they become very important, especially in the next chapter when you're learning about the perfect tense. When you look up all 4 principal parts of the verb, You must look them up by the ego form in the glossary always. You can't just assume what the 4 principal parts are. You have to look them up because sometimes they're different. And that's what I'm going to show you in the next example. Eubeo means I order. That one's pretty straightforward. It has an O ending like it should in the present tense. Eubere is to order. That one's pretty straightforward. It looks like a normal infinitive. But when you get to the 3rd principal part of this verb, it's eusi, I ordered. That does not look like the 1st or 2nd principal parts. This is why you have to look it up. The 4th principal part of this verb is reminiscent of the 3rd principal part, and it is eusum. So those are the principal parts of verbs, and again, they're very important, especially moving forward when you learn the perfect tense. It talks about the interrogative particles, and you already are familiar with ne as an interrogative particle. So for example, here's one that you're already familiar with. Esne mensa in yentaculum. Ne is, in that example sentence, ne is your interrogative particle. So the interrogative particles in this chapter are new, and those are none and num. None is an interrogative word that expects a yes answer. You would translate it as like aren't or isn't. Isn't the girl pretty? Aren't the tables nice? Okay? So you translate it as aren't or isn't. And then num expects a negative or a no answer. And the question would be like, the boys aren't smart, are they? So again, you're still going to translate it as aren't, but you're going to make it sound like it's a question that expects you to say no to it. And here is an example sentence for that. For none, this question is nonne legati oppidum oppugnabunt gladis. It's asking, aren't the lieutenants going to attack the city with swords? They are, aren't they? Aren't the lieutenants going to attack the city with swords? And it's expecting you to say yes, they are. And then a negative question would be, this is a question about taking a little trip to Germany. And it's asking, num viae ad Germanium longae erant? The roads to Germany weren't long, were they? So that's how you would translate none and num in a question. And again, num would be translated as, here, the roads weren't, because of errant, it's past tense, the roads weren't long to Germany, were they? That is the end of your introduction to Chapter 10 in Jenney's Latin.